Going on to you Scorpios, you have the Empress, the Star, and you Scorpios have the Ten of Wands. So these three cards right here for you is about how you Scorpios ultimately, you have to get to a place where, and you are getting there, where people don't bother you. There's a sense of internal spiritual peace that a lot of you are approaching, right, on the precipice of, where a lot of the worries that you have had to experience, you don't have to experience it too much like that anymore. And because at the end of the day, you've been through so much already, right? People talk trash, all types of wild stuff, and you Scorpios have essentially been through that. You've been through that already. So it's a sense of you Scorpios already having been there, done that, got the t-shirt, right? You have that kind of experience. You know that it's not the most enjoyable one. And the Eight of Cups and the Five of Cups speaks to your own journey through this thing. The Eight of Cups speaks to huge volumes. This is not only about you walking away from kind of the people throwing rocks and hiding their hands, right? The disrespect that you felt. But the Eight of Cups also speaks to the ability that you Scorpios are developing, where you can actually go and heal that immediately when that happens, right? Go and heal that. And then the thing is that the Five of Cups is about how, so the Eight of Cups is about your ability to be able to let that go. And the Five of Cups speaks to how your regret for not knowing. A lot of you Scorpios is wants to know, to be as close to, say, how do I say it? Like, to be as close as to perfection as you possibly can be, to not have to be such an emotional person. It's almost like you Scorpios are trying to, like, some of you Scorpios are gonna like meditate on it. Some of you Scorpios are gonna pray about it. But it's almost like you Scorpios want to essentially learn how to not make the same mistakes no matter what, right? And get close to being perfect as possible, right? Now, granted, we can never be perfect, but at the same time, it's this sense of something is fundamentally changing in you Scorpios again, right? Where you're growing from mistakes that you have made. And the thing is that the Seven of Swords and the Nine of Swords is about how, so now you're putting up psychic defense, right? A psychic defense, and that kind of psychic defense, right? Spiritual defense, a mental defense, is very good, because that's the thing that's going to teach you how to be a lot more unbothered by the antics and the games, that the mind games that people play. Because I'm gonna keep it buck with you, right? I'm gonna keep it 1000% with you. It's a dirty game. It's a very dirty game. The ability to disrespect you in such a way, right? And it's almost like it's the slippery slope of, like, you have to allow someone to kind of disrespect you a little bit, because it's not even necessarily because you may even like the disrespect, but also because if you don't know how to check your ego as you're getting disrespected, you'll put yourself in a whole world of problems, which is something that you don't want to do in the first place, right? So it's like it's almost this, like, this it's almost this scale of, like, don't allow yourself to be so disrespected, but accept some disrespect, because you know what I'm saying? I know that sounds wild, but it's like, don't allow yourself. I know some of you Scorpios are like, what did I just say? Like, don't allow yourself to be so disrespected in an extreme way, but understand that disrespect is coming, and that it will happen, no matter how much people respect you and they love you and they cherish you, there's always going to be that one person, in how many is the ratio, right, that will disrespect you, and that you have to be okay with it to a certain extent, right? Because uh not much, but you have to be okay with it to a good amount, because if you just want absolute respect and everything like that, you're gonna get kind of really broken up, the fact that people don't generally think of you as being that one way, right? So that person, so you kind of have to accept it, and then to a certain extent. And then not only that too, but also a lot of you also understand that and that's going to put you ahead of the curve, right? This is why the Fool card is the most powerful card out of the tarot, because people laugh at the Fool all the time, right? The Fool is the most humble tarot card, because the Fool constantly has people laughing at laughing at the Fool's failures, laughing at how clumsy, right, intentionally, right, laughing at how clumsy the Fool is, all types of stuff. And at the same time, the Fool has come to a point where they have figured out a technique to do something that not many people in society can do, and it hurts them too much to do, which is to let the ego shrink. That's something that I'm learning to do myself, is to let my ego shrink, to feel those moments of when I'm feeling humiliated or embarrassed or down, to allow that ego to shrink without spazzing out and be like, oh my gosh, oh, it hurts, to allow, because I don't know about y'all, but I could feel it shrink. I don't know about y'all, but I could feel the ego shrinking. And it hurts. But I'm saying all that to say that the Four of Wands represents, this is how you Scorpios go on about your life. This is how you build yourself. The Five of Swords and the Four of Pentacles, you go back to the drawing board. You allow people to get you to have that ego to shrink. And the Four of Pentacles represents how a lot of you be able to, like I said, to go back to the drawing board and build from scratch. So let's clarify some of these cards. Let's clarify the Four of Pentacles. So overall, right? So overall, this is more of a spiritual reading. This is more of a reading of you Scorpios learning how to actually deal with rejection, deal with the difficulties that you have in dating, deal with the stupidity and what's going on, to actually deal with it without spazzing out, right? Because the people who ultimately start wilding out are people who really can't keep their cool. People who really can't deal with their ego being shrunken, right? They start having kind of acute side effects to those things, right? They start getting wild and start going on rampages, or they start to say forget about it, and then they assimilate into the I gotta use people before they use me. And it's like, no. What I'm coming to realize in my own studies of this is, you have to get to a point where you can feel that ego shrink in you, and not spaz, not go on a rampage, not just be healthy with it, but still have that thing shrink. And the thing is that it's not even going to necessarily feel the most comfortable, right? That's one thing. Like, again, like I don't know if y'all ever seen the anime, but it's Bleach. The anime is called Bleach, with shinigamis and hollows and stuff like this. And that's what the hollow is. The hollow, right? That's what Aizen was talking about. Aizen from the show, the anime Bleach, was talking about how he is a Shinigami, and he also wants to share certain traits and share certain powers and certain genetics of a hollow as well, so he can get the best of both worlds. Because that's what a hollow is. A hollow is an individual where they are devoid of said ego. It's a person that seeks to be devoid of said ego. And this is why they have a hollow hole in them, right? The hollow hole is, in the anime I'm talking about, is a hole in the in a part of, like, it's usually in their chest. But that's what I'm talking about, right? The ego, right? The chest is symbolic of where Leo is. Leo being the ego, right? If interpreted the incorrect way, right? And they're in the afterlife, which means that they made the transition, right? Ego or excessive ego is right before the transition, right? If you're too egocentric, right before the transition. This is what Nipsey Hussle, Leo, Young Dolph, Leo, right? Ego, right? Made the transition. Unfortunately made the transition in that way. And anyway, the hollows, right? Metaphorically, but spiritually and literally, they practice shadow work every single day, where it's about shrinking said ego. And like, this is what be having them do the stuff that they be doing, because it's like, and then they have hierarchies, right? Would not get, not to go on too long, but the hierarchies of the hollows is like, they basically, there's hierarchies where the ones who have their egos shrunken or small, right? Those are the ones that become mindless and just seek to devour everything, right? And just, they become self-destructive and dysfunctional. And then as they go up in the hierarchy of their own self-development, then they start to gain consciousness from the fact that their ego has shrunk. They've developed the hollow hole. Then they become Vasto Lorde. Then they become Adhuchas, I think. Adhuas, Adjuhas, or something like that. Adhuchas, something like that. Anyway, then they get to the highest point, which is Arankar Vasto Lorde. Vasto Lorde Arankar, right? Which is them basically having the consciousness, having their ego being shrunken, and be okay with that. And no matter how many times they get their ego shrunken, they actually can live with that. So that's the highest, or I'm going to say the highest, but that's the highest point in which one can reach before there are no more levels. And I am striving to get to that point. I'm not a mindless hollow anymore. I'm just seeking to eat everything. So let's clarify the Four of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups, and then you have the Eight of Wands. So these three cards right here, to clarify the Four of Pentacles, represents how this newfound level of introspection is gonna, I ain't even gonna lie, it's gonna scare you. But you Scorpios are going through a spiritual development right now that very few people on earth actually experience. And the thing is that the Knight of Cups and the Eight of Wands represents how a lot of you are in a position where, and what you're becoming is the Eight of Wands, which is a person who is prepared for anything. King or queen of the world, because you're prepared for everything. While other people will really get cracking up underneath the pressure, right? They'll get broken up. What I mean when I say cracking up underneath it, I mean broken up underneath the pressure. You remain tall because you've been here before, you've experienced this stuff before, you know what the heartbreak feels like, and it hasn't done you in yet. So that's it, my dear Scorpios. Comment on the video, like the video, subscribe. Who you're becoming is something extraordinary. I'm trying to make my YouTube channel grow to 100K subscribers. Have 14,165 subs. Smash the subscribe button, smash the like button, hit the notification bell, set the notification bell to all so you can be notified whenever I drop my videos.